Hi, I'm Kat Kalashian for Live and Invest Overseas, and today we are talking about the world's #1 retirement destination, Valencia, Spain. So this is a sun-soaked city on Spain's Mediterranean coast. It offers an unparalleled quality of life, surrounded by beauty, cultural richness, and a wonderful welcoming community. It's got a unique blend of attributes that mean it's just really too appealing to be topped in pretty much every way you can think of when it comes to thinking about considerations for moving overseas. So let's dive in. First, I'm going to sum things up into 3 simple points, the 3 best things. Number 1, it is Spain's 3rd largest city with excellent amenities and the Mediterranean beach right there. Number 2, cultural vibrancy, its architecture, gastronomy, endless entertainment options ranging from street parades to concert and opera. Sciences, our education is a very, very high priority here, as are the sciences and the arts. So much to do here in pretty much any category. And number 3, safe and affordable with a friendly expat community. All right, so let's just introduce you to Valencia a little bit in case you're not familiar. As I mentioned, it is a vibrant, very exciting city with endless things to see and do, but it's also got these golden sand beaches with bright, warm Mediterranean waters right off the shore and sunny weather year-round, so you can enjoy those beaches all year round. The infrastructure is excellent, including its public transportation system and its healthcare facilities, as well as everything else. Water is drinkable. I know that's kind of the bare minimum most Americans ask. Can you drink the water? Yes, it is great water, but above and beyond that, there are so many things to love about the infrastructure here. It is safe, as I mentioned, affordable, and friendly. It's got this huge welcoming community of locals as well as expats from around the world. It pretty much offers everything an expat could want in their new home overseas. And it's not just us at Live and Invest Overseas who have recognized all of its incredible values. So, for example, it took the #1 spot in Internation's 2024 Quality of Life Index, as well as the Personal Finance and Best City rankings. The European Commission named it the European Green Capital in 2024, and it is Europe's best city as named by Condé Nast Traveler's 2024 Reader's Choice Awards. So it's made international waves in many, many categories, but also in sustainability, innovation, and overall quality of life. Frankly, the list of accolades and honors awarded to it goes on and on, so I'm going to leave it there. Just suffice it to say that this city really knocks it out of the park in pretty much every category. One of the top draws here, of course, is the affordability. So Spain is already a very affordable country, and Valencia is a shining example of how Europe, and even an old world, amenity-rich regional capital like this with an exceptional standard of living, can be more affordable than most North Americans would think, and likely more affordable than where you're living now. So everything here from housing to healthcare to a bottle of wine costs just a little bit less, if not a whole lot less. So rent is low here, as I mentioned, even compared to other Spanish cities, between $700 and $1,500 per month. You can, of course, spend a lot more than that, but for a basic apartment for a couple, that would certainly be a reasonable budget to start with. And because this is such a walkable and well-connected city with lots of public transportation options, you can easily free yourself of a car and all of its associated expenses, which I can speak to from personal experience. I moved from Panama to Paris, and getting rid of our car, we estimated it was between 20 and 25% of our budget. So that's a whole lot more restaurants to eat out in instead of spending your time sitting in a car in traffic. The average cost of living here for two is about $2,363. And of course, this is going to fluctuate a little bit with currency exchange rates. As we know, exchange rates have been a little bit more temperamental in 2025 than they have been in past decades, but more or less you could say you could live very well here on 2,000 euros a month and then do the conversion from there. It's on average 53% cheaper to live in Valencia than it is to live in the United States based on the US average cost of living per the Consumer Index. The climate here is the other undeniable draw. Valencia gets about 2,700 hours of sunshine per year. That works out to about 300 or more sunny days per year. The winters here are mild, even at its coldest, you're only ever going to need a jacket. In fact, a friend here who has a kid has a funny story about walking down the street, I think in February, maybe January or February, with his kid who was wearing a t-shirt and shorts because they were perfectly comfortable in the maybe 60s, maybe a little bit lower than 70-degree weather. And he had locals coming up to him on the street telling him that he was a bad father for not fully dressing his child. It's wintertime. Why aren't you putting your child in a jacket and hat? And of course, when you're used to that weather, it might seem like winter, but if you're used to much more extreme temperatures, that winter there isn't going to feel like anything more than a little bit of a cool spring or autumn day. So before we go on, because there is so much more to discover about Valencia, I want to invite you to join me in Valencia this September. I will be there with dozens of local colleagues and friends, service providers, and expats, and over 100 of your fellow Live and Invest Overseas followers. And over those 3 days of our Live and Invest in Spain conference, which is probably my favorite event of the year, not only will you be handed all of the information and the contacts that you need to make a successful move to Spain, anywhere in the country, not just Valencia, but we're also going to have a lot of fun. This year, we'll be taking our elite attendees on a tour of an orange farm. After all, oranges are Valencia's top claim to fame, probably internationally. That and the paella, I guess. But we'll also spend an evening making paella, which is also a heavy drinking class. I did this class last year, and it was more fun than any of us could have anticipated. We learned how to make authentic Spanish local sangria. It has a secret ingredient that I was shocked to discover. And throughout the course, you're drinking a lot of sangria. They give you some shots. They end things with some red wine. So by the end of your paella dinner, you've had a very, very nice meal, but also some cocktails in the company of good friends, like-minded individuals who are also looking at pursuing a new life in Spain or somewhere else in Europe. Click here on the screen to learn more about this event. I promise you it is the single best way to learn about Spain. It's a one-stop shop. You'll get to also see the country in person, see if it suits you. You have to see it for yourself to know that, and prepare yourself in a move here in every way that we can help you do so. I hope to see you there. All right, let's get back to it. So Valencia has long been famous for its architecture, and to walk its streets is really to take in over 2,000 years of history, from the medieval Islamic era to futuristic structures that look like they're straight off the screens of science fiction films. And in fact, they actually have been used on the sets of science fiction films. So the Ciudad de las Ciencias features these fantastic buildings by Santiago Calatrava, who is a local architect, very, very internationally well known at this point, but also a son of Valencia. And his buildings were featured on in a Disney cartoon, also in some Star Wars films, I think. So they really are, they hold muster when it comes to looking like something out of the future. Life in Valencia is never dull. There are so many lively annual events. For example, Las Fallas. I haven't actually been there for this event myself, but I can't wait to do so. Locals might decide to leave the city for this event because it can be a loud one and rather chaotic. But if you're a tourist or if you enjoy these kinds of festivals, it's definitely something to take part in. The streets will just come alive with music parades, larger than life sculptures. Every neighborhood in the city competes to create the best sculpture on a float. And at the end of the night, after the winner is named, all of the rest are burned. The only one saved from the sacrifice is the winner. A very fun annual event there and very, very famous. You can't live in Valencia without taking part in Las Fallas at least once. So you've got these kinds of events that are held all throughout the year, but you've also got, regular calendars of opera, theater performances, concerts, sporting events, and a really rich culinary scene. So there's just so much to do. It's so rich in cultural entertainment that it's really easy to forget that this is also an ideal city for an active, outdoor-oriented lifestyle. It's right there on the Mediterranean Sea with those gorgeous fine sand beaches, accessible right from the city center, maybe a 20-minute bus or tram or metro ride. These sandy stretches right next to the city are perfect for walking, sunbathing, swimming, any kind of water sport really that you'd want to do. And the Turia Gardens are a 12-kilometer riverbed turned urban park that snakes its way through the city. And there are also little parks dotted all over. So it means you're really never far from greenery, even though this is a cosmopolitan city. There are plenty of sporting playing fields, of course, so you'll be able to practice any sport that you might already practice or want to pick up. Tennis, soccer, anything else. Plus, Valencia is mostly flat, which makes it ideal for cycling, walking, and there are plenty of scenic routes beyond those in the Turia Gardens available, as well as much of the city, the regular city streets that have dedicated bike paths and lanes that are nice and safe. Plus the Albufera Natural Park, which is right there. It's a bird watcher's paradise with trails through rice paddies and coastal dunes. So as you can see, there's so much to enjoy in this city that isn't necessarily a city endeavor. Really, it delivers in every category. Plus, this region in general is renowned for golf. So there are a dozen or so highly qualified courses nearby. And getting back to the infrastructure that we briefly touched on, Spain is one of the world's top ranked countries for medical care, and expats across the country speak really highly of its healthcare system. There are modern facilities and highly trained professionals available no matter where you are in the country. Just to give you a little bit of an idea, it has ranked number 6 in the Legatum Prosperity Index on healthcare. And to put that into perspective, Canada ranks 32 and the US ranks 69. So a pretty good comparison there to be made. Another great factor is that it's so easy to make connections with expats in Valencia. You'll find fellow foreigners from the UK, Germany, France, Belgium, and increasingly the United States and Canada and beyond. A lot of these different nationalities speak English because that's kind of the lingua franca between all of them. And increasingly, you're going to find North Americans finding their way to Valencia. My friend, an expat in Valencia, Micah, has told me his favorite thing, quote, "My favorite thing about Valencia is being part of a city that's a community. In America, we're so isolated from everyone in a big house far from others in our cars alone. Here, there's a community spirit and pride, and that's what we want." On top of all of that, Valencia is very safe. This is the kind of place where you can breathe easy and let worries of crime or violence just fade away. The Global Peace Index ranking for Spain is number 23. The US, for comparison, ranks number 132. In general, this is a very safe country. Big cities like Madrid and Barcelona have a reputation for pickpocketing troubles, certainly around public transportation or major tourist attractions can be a real issue. So you do want to be aware of that, but it's really not something that Valencia has had to contend with. It doesn't have this issue despite being the third largest city, the third most populous city in Spain. Expats here report feeling completely at ease at all times of the day or the night, including myself. I've spent a lot of time there by myself as a single woman, walking around the city at, during the day and also at night. So, and taking the public transportation alone. So I can vouch for that myself as well. So when it comes to launching a fulfilling new life overseas, one that's rich in adventure, but at the same time comfortable, well-appointed, we can think of no better place than Valencia. It is really my top recommendation. Let us help you start making your Spanish dreams come true. Click here to learn more, and happy trails.